going on, everybody? Welcome to Doppler'S Gear Garage. And my latest addition to the Doppler Gear Garage collection. This is my $230 on Craigslist Epiphone. All right, hang on. Let's see who's here. Gosh darn it. Good morning, Bill Allen. Go. So I'm not going to have the V on deck for a minute, and I love the veganness. So if you will bear with me, my dear friend, I actually have my number one V back from the illustrious Gary Brower. Shush. But I've got some other things that I want to go over today. And I've just kind of got this guy on deck here for a quick second. First of all, let me just make sure that okay, there's that. We should be good on Facebook. There we go. Excellent. Last week I managed to not turn Facebook on. John Mello, good morning, my dear friend. I look forward to seeing you at NAMM. By the way, anybody that's there in the stream here, who's going to be at NAMM? And who am I going to run into down at NAMM? And what are you planning on seeing, and kind of what's your plan there for NAMM? I'm going to be hosting a series of panels. Paul Richard, good morning, my friend. How you doing? Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Hang on, let's do this. It's out proper. Okay. Walk into Guitar Center, I'll be back. Okay, got to honor that. All right, John, again, good morning. Looking forward to seeing you at, there we go, at the NAMM show, my dear friend, as always. Reunited in LA. Let's leave it there. Paul Richard, hello, my friend. Look at that photo. Jerry, the vegan rocker, may be at NAMM. Well, I may be at NAMM, too. A little hot there this morning. All right. So, first of all, great. First of all, Albert, good morning. Good morning. All bring on NAMM. There we go. Good morning, all bring on NAMM. There we go. Absolutely. Dr. Phil, what's happening? There we go. Cafe Mocha. I am drinking the illustrious water. So you know what? Let's just jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into what we've got in store. So hang on a second. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to... Now, a couple of things happened at the very last minute. I got a notice on one of my speakers at one of my panels for NAMM pulled out at about as close to the last minute as possible. And I'm attempting to just kind of let that just kind of sink down into the sea of forgetfulness and just kind of go, well, okay, it happens. All right, that is not what I'm looking for. Where is just raise them up? There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to move that so it's right next to this. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to raise them up. Let me know in the chat where it is that you're coming from, what it is that you're drinking. I'm drinking California water, which must imply that I am in California. All right, gosh darn it. So, first and foremost, Eric, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. So, one of the things that I really want to talk about today is, I don't know, so for lack of a better way of describing it, there's a phrase that in the Doppler house we use to describe some of the different Doppler personas, and Shredder Doug is one of them. So because of, I'm doing more and more demos where I'm needing to do a wider variety of things, Shredder Doug is a guy that I'm spending a little bit more time kind of, good morning, Sonia, how you doing? Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Have a fulcrum good day. Hello. But Shredder Doug, the interesting thing about Shredder Doug is that there's a demo that's at the very end of, and it's off. I can't mention the YouTuber that's got it because his video hasn't launched yet. But the 90s Dual Rec reissue is off with another YouTuber that's going to be doing, I'm sure, an amazing demo with it. But the thing is that the very last one of those is this thing called 80s Shredder, or 80s Shred is the name of it. but 80 Shredder was what I almost named it, but it was it was more about me than the amp, and I needed to be more about the amp. So 80 Shred was kind of where I went. But in the ideology of 80 Shredder, that's, a place that I lived for a long time. And there's certain things that, to me, when I think of shredding that have become part of what I do, that I want to share with you for your benefit. Okay. 3 no, sorry. I hate to say it. 33 and a third, 45, 78. I'm going really old school. Griffin Gaines, good morning. More about the hair. Well, the funny thing is wait. Okay, Griffin, I have a question there. Well, this one is very obviously one of this is from you, because Go got the tag. How many different things of New Orleans coffee did you kindly send me? Because this one's got the tag on it, but I think you sent me another one, and I think it's the blue stuff, but I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. All right. So the deal is, in terms of shredding, and, more importantly, how do you develop a liquid approach? Because I'm sure all of you, regardless of how slow. As you go from your slower rate to whatever that is, as you work on the faster thing, how do you kind of, first of all, maintain not just the ability to play fast, but that liquidity when you switch gears? I had some network issue. I hope that's not on this end. So this is coffee clearly from you, because it's got, hold on, your name on it. But I think there's another, is there a blue bag that you sent? So I'm trying to make clear what the Louisiana style coffee that comes up from the mud. So this is the dark roast. So I want to make sure I always give credit where credit is due. Thank you again. Always appreciate it. All right. So here's the deal. This whole thing of how do we make it so we don't feel like we're constantly quote unquote resuscitating our chops, right? And I've been kind of in a mode where there's a certain amount of that happening. But the other thing is, Tony Lybrand, good morning. Anton Shred, you're right on time. So the deal is, not everybody gets a kiss from me, by the way. So the deal is that, how do we develop this? And one of the things that I'm going back and forth between is that there are things that we all do that are repetitive. And where does it go between regurgitating the same crap over and over to that's something I could embellish and do stylistically. Not only that, if I go all the way in, it's something that I can embrace. So for me, one of the things is that whole thing on the high E string is a big part of something that I practice on a daily basis, but it's also something that as I kind of start thinking about some of the things that I can begin to do, there are some variations on that kind of 3-note per string thing where it's just on one string that I'm kind of going, oh, you know what? There's a bunch of cool stuff there. And unlike when we're switching strings, where we kind of have to deal with the crossover, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But the idea is when you're just working on one string, it's the best, easiest, coolest way to just get your left hand And so what I'm working on doing is I've been doing this, this guy, by the way, all of my students would know, as I play each one of these 3 notes in the key of G major, as in G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. If we took G, A, and B, Dan, hey, what's going on? Welcome back, my man. Great. Albert, you are the bestest. Oh, good. Oh, good. I was a little worried, very mid-focus, tubular inside a train clear. Good, I saw it mid-focus, oh no. So, all right, I got to hit the pause button. So here's the deal. We reserve the right to open up conversation, because one of my favorite things about this is going into hey, I want to share this with these people because I want you to, in theory, walk away a better guitar player today, tomorrow, and this week, and so on and so forth. Something that you can apply to it. But the other thing is that there are things that happen in the course of the conversation that allow us to have a conversation instead of feeling like I'm talking at you. So the deal is, this 3-note per string speed exercise, I want to unpack a couple of things. unlike our dear friend Paul Gilbert, who has million-mile-long fingers that can do 1, 3, 4 when it's these two adjacent whole steps, per the Joe Satriani school, and I'm gonna mention some of the things about Joel. Daniel, what's going on, my man? Great. Oh, wait, hold on, I missed you. There we go. Hello, my friend. Great to see you. Welcome. All right, so we are going to take that question, and we're going to amplify that in just a moment, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to make you work this week. How's that sound? All right, so here's the deal, is that if I'm taking G, A, and B, I'm going to figure that stretch 1, 2, 4, and I'm going to shamelessly reference my time with Joe Satriani on and off today without kind of like, oh, he's ego tripping. I'm just going to speak to it because there were things that happened in those that 3.5 years that are relevant to this thing. So one of the important things in kind of the Satriani school of playing and shred and all of that was the idea is that there's a classical hand position, ideally, although we never talked about it, but it was a thing that your fingers are curled and arched. You're facing up the neck. That is to say, if you were to grab a pencil and go like this, you're going to notice that what we're doing is we're curling and arching the first, second, and third fingers to compensate the fact that the pinky is shorter, because if we curl and arch all fingers at this kind of the same, you end up with this disparity. So this little bit of business there, and most importantly, instead of curling the pinky around facing down the neck, keeping it curling up the neck. And as you go to work on your legato, that's super important for the finger not fumbling off the edge of the fingerboard. So, all right, so in any case, as we relate initially just on this alternate picking bit, I remember when I started studying with Joe, I was doing all sorts of bizarre things with my right hand, and sometimes it was what he didn't say that was the most magnifying. So, I used to do this thing where I would rest my forearm here. When I first met Steve Vai, he had a second pick guard that he'd put on his guitar so we could kind of rest his forearm there. So a lot of us kind of go through this thing. Where do we learn to rest our hands? So I'm going to suggest that you consider, if you haven't found a place that's super comfortable for you, with the second and third fingers on the right hand, use them as a guide on the body. And in turn, with the fleshy part of the thumb and kind of, we'll call this the fleshy part of the pinky, because really it's kind of the fleshy part that kind of comes down off the pinky. Those two allow us, in combination with these two, to create the 1, 2, 3, 4 legs of a table that allow our right hand then just have a base of support off of which then the axis from the wrist just goes back and forth. And if you lift your hand up in the air and just go like that, we're just taking that natural range of motion here, but giving just kind of a little base for it to sit on, right? So literally, as if I put my hand down like that, and I went like that and just kind of rested my hand in arguably the most natural position if I was holding the pick, and I'm just moving it back and forth like that. And in turn, that's what we're going to do not only on the high E string, but the other strings. So what you can plan that we're going to do very quickly is we're going to just kind of talk about some of the ways we can use this up and down the high E string without a bunch of noise there. Then we're going to talk about one of the things that I've been doing lately, because what I want to show you guys is the things that I'm working as I'm working on them, because some of them stay and some of them evolve and some of them just fall away in the act of being replaced. But a bunch of the things I'm working on have been really beneficial for me, so I think they're going to be helpful for you. As it relates to where we're going to go, we'll start off on the high E string. Then we're going to work on basically the spot here at C. And one of the things I've been spending time on is really going, hey, if I can take the first 6 notes of C major, that's going to be... All right, let's see if I can get... There we go. C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G, A. C, D, E flat, F, G, A. C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat. C, D, E, F, G sharp, A. Sorry, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. C, D, E, F, G, A. C, D, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, just making sure. C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm playing the first 6 notes. Of each of the 3 note per string modes, but what I'm doing is I'm playing them at one spot. And so it gets me used to playing and thinking of like, hey, if I'm going to have my tonal center for a chord progression at C, I'm training my hand not only to play C major or C Dorian, but C Phrygian, C Lydian, C Mixed Lydian, C minor, and C Locrian as well. And we're going to approach that from a couple different places. And the same thing is true as we get down to... And I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we don't normally talk about in the framework of this. First and foremost, if we think about this little spot right here, and this one, those are what I call double doubles. That is, sorry, no, my bad. Those are what I call doubles. That is to say, they inside that stretch 1, 2, 4 fingering, and again, this is getting back to my earlier point, is that one of the things that Joe always had me do was extend out with the first finger. If you're going to do a 2 step sequence, then if it was a step and a half, that would be first, third, and fourth. A half and a step, that's going to be first, second, and fourth. Again, 2 whole steps. Stretch 1, 2, 4. Again, stretch 1, 2, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. Stretch 1, 2, 4. And that really follows the way most of us would be inclined to play our 3-note string scale. And in case no one has ever walked you through that, if you take a look at what's happening there in terms of why the fingering is fingered as it is if you take a look at what's happening on the middle 2 strings, that's kind of a jumping off point where you shift when you get to the second string. And that hand position, with the exception of the shift, for those 4 strings, except for the shift, kind of has us doing this 1, 2, 3, 4 thing where each of the 4 fingers is in the range of 4 frets. So in turn, it makes sense that when we add the 5th and 6th strings, we're just extending out from there as opposed to going like this and then making that jump to there. That is to say, if I were going like this, it's a lot easier to just bring that first finger in versus going and now having to shift 2 fingers there, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, the idea is we take that same psychology and we apply that to the high E string. And the great thing about the high E string is it's the best place to possibly build your left and right hand coordination, that articulation where you're really working on that. That's something has been, there's certain sequences and certain types of groupings of notes that have been the bane of my existence, and I think I've talked about before and I will be sharing again. By the way, please grab your guitar if you don't have it, is that I'm running at those things because I've kind of gotten to the point, it's like, you know what, I'm tired of being a coward about it, the cowardly lion, as opposed to like, hey, you know, when I master this, I'm going to have that, you know, so that's another thing that I can go, I've got that under my belt, because I also know that the things are beyond that. If I can't do the thing that was the impediment, all the things that are beyond that, I'm not even going to try. I'm supposed to like, hey, there's all this stuff out there waiting to be discovered. And that then in turn complements the things that I'm purposely going, these are things that I do that I'm actually going to dig in and double down on and make better. So the idea is what's happening here is we're taking each one of these 3-note sequences. By the way, one of the things you can do in the midst of all of this is be kind of conscious of what's happening with your ear. The reason I mentioned this double, and this double, if I play the G, each one of those notes sits at a very different spot as it relates to the tonic. Pardon my tuning. These strings are new, and this is a Bigsby, so it's not going to be perfect, but that's not acceptable. So hang on a second. Let's fix this little business. There we go. So the idea, there's the 1. There's the 2. We definitely don't want to resolve there. Nice place to resolve. Okay. So that's in there. Now, even though this next spot here is a half step away, it's a half step away, starting with that same sequence of those 2 whole steps. So there's my 4, not a great resolution. 5, great resolution tone. 6, not bad. And then 5, great resolution tone. 6, kind of again so-so. 7, I can almost assure you I'm not going to go. Not going to happen. So the point being, as we work on, what was that lick I was going to show you, right? That's going to be one of the licks that I'm going to show you, because part of our talk today is going to be how we take one lick that you play, that you like your favorite lick, and fill in the blank mode and go, hey, how can I quote unquote modalize this lick? So that's essentially one of the things I've been doing with this little 3-note per string business, because most of the time for the past 40 or so years, I just played it in G major. And I'm going to kind of demonstrate the ability to then kind of take this, first of all, just played in G major. I'm going to play this in variation at number 3. That technically has 4 variations. And if you think about GAB as being low to high and BAG as being high to low, variation number 1 goes up low to high and low to high. Always going from lowest to the highest. Variation number 2, Brett, good morning. Great to see you, my friend. Variation number 2 goes up high to low. And arguably for people going up the neck, leading with the pinky is going to be the most difficult. In any case, variation number 2 goes up the neck and down the neck high to low, as in BAG. Variation number 3, which is what we're going to work on, goes from low to high as opposed to GA, which means as opposed to BAG, we're going to start off GAB, and we're going to go down BAG as in highest note to lowest note. And then variation number 4 flips that around, goes up high to low and down low to high. So that is say we're going to be, let me run through all 4 of those. Variation number 1. Last bit wasn't so perfect, but I'm working on it. So the deal is, we're going to be working on this guy. And in turn, we're going to go. And that is, in turn, going to lead us to, which is the hardest of the bunch. So let me walk through what's going on here, what we're doing and why we're doing it. First of all, one of the best things you can do, Rafael, good morning, mi buen amigo, ¿cómo está? Soy excelente usted. So the deal is, one of the things as you're running sequences, Anil, what's going on, my friend? That should look familiar. Awesome, great to see you. Look at that photo. All right, so what's great about this exercise, first of all, it gets us used to harmonically. Again, if we think about the tonal setter, hearing how one of the things we'll do in a little bit, we're going to go. So we could take that same. Sorry. And that's taking the same idea, if I can play it, and then you could switch it around for the different modes. And that's going to, Steve Corral, what's going on, my man? All right, in any case, great to see you. Grab your guitar if you don't already have it. Eric, exercise of the day, sounds killer. Awesome, thanks so much, much appreciated. So the deal is, this is a really great way to do a couple of important things that I hear from players all the time. Number 1, how do I improve my left and right hand coordination, which we'll also refer to as synchronization? Number 2, how do I get better at playing linearly? And the funny thing is, you know, this is not said as a, oh, Doug, oh, stroke your ego. There are things that as a guitar teacher, having done this enough time, somebody will kind of go, how do you do that? It's as if I'm a car mechanic. You bring your car in and say, it's got this problem. And kind of go, well, I haven't necessarily had that problem with this model, but this is what we can do to fix that. So that's just one of the unique gifts that I have as a teacher, and one of my favorite things about being able to help other people over their speed bumps. So that is to say, there will be certain things that you'll kind of go, why didn't I think of that? Which the idea is then you can look at your player and kind of go, your own playing and kind of go, well, I've got this problem. What can I do to unlock that I haven't thought about doing? All right, so as follows, how do we develop a strategy of playing more linearly First and foremost is you want to make sure that you can see all your patterns, whether it's the 3-note per string modes or the minor pentatonic, and can connect them evenly, as in, minor pentatonic. So on and so forth, and that you can execute all of them up and down the neck without having gaps in between the patterns, and you really know the patterns laterally inside and out. And in turn, then that gives you the ability to go, okay, well, if the first 2 notes of the minor pentatonic are this, and the second 2 notes are this, I should say, sorry, the first 4 notes of pattern number 1 and the first 4 notes of pattern number 2, what happens? You kind of go, well, wait a second. You go, oh, and then you might go. All right, so one of the things we're going to talk about today is as you're mapping sequential patterns, and we're going to come back to the high E string in just a second. You notice I went. You want to begin to keep in mind, and that was the moral of the story with this guy, we're mapping that root there such that when we finish the phrase, we've got a place to resolve to. And the whole point of learning to do that kind of off of all 7 modes is you now have one lick that you can use for all 7 keys. That is to say, I should say all 7 modes. So if instead of doing that for major, you learn to do that for Dorian and Phrygian, and the way you practice that is just... And that comes from, wait for it, having that comfort with that, and the comfort with that. So we got... And that was kind of, if you will, the wolf mother lick. And it's not flipping rocket science. It just is not something, first of all, because of how we were... Here's the thing. Most of the time, I can look at kind of the guitar diseases and kind of go, this is what's ailing people and why. When we're first taught guitar, we get a little shape on a page, and it's got a little red X and a dot, and all we get is like, this. It's never said, hey, that, by the way, is an A, C, D, E, G, A. It's not that it's a 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And it's not that, by the way, this 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. Sorry, 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. That 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1 come. That's where that chord and that scale enters. I'm like, ugh. If somebody had taught me that in my first lesson, I would have had a completely different lens through which I looked at music. And one of the other goals of what we're going to do increasingly here, and I said this to one of my students a week ago Wednesday, is that when I see these patterns, the things that I see are different than what my students see. And my goal is to help other guitar players who want to, when they look at that pattern, and be able to go, hey, I don't just see a shape. I see a 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. Such as when I play it here, I see that 1, flat 3, 5. Good. There we go. Flat 3. 5. Flat 7. 7. And there's a 1. And we're basically creating tension. And then resolution. You're looking for that place you can take a breath. So if somebody had kind of told me about that from the very beginning, that would have been in my head to think about it, but it wasn't. And pretty much they very rarely said anything about the concept of playing linearly. So it's not how we think about the instrument, which is kind of stupid. But it's reality. So getting back to 3-note per string speed exercise A, one of the things that I want you to get used to doing as you're playing a sequence, think about where your point of resolution is. That is to say, what is your disembarking point going to be so you can get to that resolution. And being aware of not only kind of what scale to remember things are at, but this is also a really good way when you're playing sequences. And I've discovered it's going a little fast to go G, A, B, G, A, B. But if I can go G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. Sorry, I've got something happening about NAM here. Okay. So the deal is that allows us, as we're running the sequences, we can then get a better sense of the note names. Why do the note names matter? Well, I don't know. If I'm playing a G major scale, I got a G major chord as my tonic chord. That is, say, if I'm in the key of G major. The reason this note, that note, and that note sound so good is those are the notes of the tonic chord. So if we, as we're kind of running our shred exercises up and down the neck, we're still kind of going, at some point I got to land the plane here. I want to land it on more often than not the chord tones of the tonic chord. That is to say, if we're in the key of G major and we're kind of noodling around, when we want at G, B, or D. So if you're going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, B, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B. That allows us to really start thinking about those notes in a kind of, it's an abstract kind of, we don't have to put in too much thought about it, but it allows us to go, all right, I'm a G, A, B, and it just allows us to think about this. And again, you know, one of the things that I'm always trying to do is when I see a shape, I'm thinking a bunch of things that you may or may not be thinking as you're kind of like, I'm just singing the first three notes of G major. I'm thinking about how they relate to the tonic chord. And the great thing about the first three notes here, I got two chord tones. So literally, if all you could play was the first three notes of every mode for whatever chord progression you're in, you got two great resolution points. So and I'm pretty sure if I did the math. All right, fine. So what I'm going to walk through here, so just bear with me, but this is an extrapolation of this, and it matters. Brandon, what's going on, my man? Am I going to see you at NAMM is the question I want to know. I hope so. It'd be my pleasure, man. Look at that photo. That is killer. Yes, I will be there. Sounds like you will be. Can't wait. By the way, this is kind of what happened is when this kind of bomb exploded in my flipping inbox this morning. Somebody kind of bailed on me at the last minute, and I was in the midst of pre-NAMM hang. There we go. There's a graphic that I was in the process of putting up. There we go. Let's put that up. Give me a quick second here. This is happening on the Wednesday night. Awesome. Preceding the NAMM show. You do not have to have a badge to come, and it is free. So let me get over to here. There we go. So there, oh wait, that's the slightly old one. So Dave Cleveland is unable to make it, but it's Wednesday, January 22nd from 6 till 9. And by the way, at the bottom there, but you'll be hearing a lot more of him, is Saxon Weiss. And he is a young guitar genius. And I can promise you that as you go from top to bottom, Chris Rocha, Dave Cleveland, who's unfortunately not going to be there, but he's holding nice guitars, I can tell you. Doug Doppler, what a shredding lunatic. Alex Lim, who's coming all the way from Korea, and Saxon Weiss, who's coming all the way from Los Angeles. And there's all these brands supporting. There's going to be a giveaway. They're giving away a PRS guitar. I should say we're giving away a PRS guitar. Gosh darn it. It's going to be a Hexkey Lotski of Funski. So if you're around, that's Wednesday, January 22nd, and that is going to be at the Colony House, 401 North Anaheim Boulevard, Anaheim. And I'm going to play a short but intense guitar set. I can just kind of feel, usually when I'm heading into a gig, I have a pretty good idea of which flavor of Doug's going to be there. And although there's going to be some very pretty... Oh! There will be some melodicism. Shredder Doug, I think, is definitely going to be there. Maybe as intense and caffeinated as ever. All right, getting back to our official program here. And by the way, also on the Saturday of NAMM, if you're there, especially if you're involved at all with the House of Worship, I have the privilege of hosting a whole range of tech tracks. And even if you don't do the worship thing at 10 a.m., there's a team of people from Fender, as well as Lincoln Brewster and Chris Rocha, who's going to be representing Gretsch. So it's going to be a Fender and Gretsch panel for half an hour. We're talking about instruments and gear that's great for the House of Worship, but not just for the House of Worship. At 10:30, it's going to be Gibson, Epiphone, Mesa Boogie, and Maestro, and Kramer, and kind of the same deal. Not everybody plays at church, just plays at church. At 11 o'clock, it's going to be Line 6. And then, by the way, we're going to be joined by Eric Klein, the chief architect. And if you love, play, or have anything to do with Helix, he's the brainiac behind that. And it's going to be great. And then at the next panel after that is going to be Neural DSP. And then there's a range of other panels that are going to happen. But those are going to be brand specific around specific pieces of gear that are great primarily for the House of Worship, but not just the House of Worship. All right. In any case, super excited about that. Jumping back into this business. So when, the thing about sequences is fast playing is really all about your ownership of sequences. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, what are all the necessary sequences that one should be working on? So we're going to start here because this just gets you used to playing groups of 3 notes with an 8th note triplet or a 16th note triplet feel. So the deal is, as I mentioned before, there's 2 variations. A little high on the way up. I should say there's 2 takes on the sequence here. On the way up the neck, we're going to ascend in what I call a waterfall motion. That is to say, as I'm moving up the neck, as opposed to going, the notes are flowing in the same direction. Same thing with this guy. So we're going to do each group of notes 2 times. One of the things that allows us to do, for better or for worse, it goes down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're doing our transitions on downstrokes, which, as I've been discovering in my own playing, has been one of the banes of my existence. So I'm working on that. However, quick note to self. Right around the time I was studying with Joe Satriani, I got a chance to meet a guy named Corrado Rustici. And he was one of Narada Michael Walden's 2 main session guys. And I basically was a glorified roadie for Corrado. But in hanging out with Corrado and getting to know him, and he's a brilliant player. Played on a bunch of the Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin stuff. I mean, just hit after hit after hit. Along with Vernon Black, also known as Ice. Both great guitar players, super nice guys. But Corrado's always said, and if I'd only listened, he said, every exercise you do start with an upstroke. And I was like, oh. Because I've been doing a bunch of that stuff where I'm, starting my 3-note per string modes on. That is saying, instead of going. And doing pairs of strings, which we're going to get to in a minute, Dan. Boy, if I'd only listened. In any case, we're going to take this sequence here. G-A-B 2 times. ABC 2 times. B-C-D, C-D-E, D-E, F sharp, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, G-A, G-A-B, B-A-G, A-G-B. It's harder going backwards. G, F sharp, E, F sharp, E-D, E-D-C, D-C-B, C-B-A, and G-B-A. Or, sorry, B-A, B-A-G, the bag. Now then, I've started recently making things more difficult for myself. In turn, I've started kind of going, well, what happens if, and this is what happens when you kind of begin to punch through your blocks. I was like, what would happen if I went, and I have a tendency to kind of, this F sharp there, is the note that I've still got to work on. But as soon as I kind of, because I went and saw Holdsworth again right around that same time, and he did basically, sorry. Come on. There we go. Something like that, and I watched him do it, and I was like, I know what he's doing, I can't do it, but someday, so someday has kind of arrived. And so the idea, and if that doesn't get your fear of flying out of there, nothing else is gonna. And so the neat thing about this is really where you get a chance to get a feeling of how the left and the right hand can really develop speed, because then the next thing, per Dan's comment, is how we begin to take this off to different pairs of strings. Hold on a second. I have lost visibility with the chat here, so let me make sure that I'm not missing any valuable comments so I can rabbit trail, because who would want to miss that? Just visited the Gibson store in London. All right. Mike, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Okay, good. Good. Okay, yes, all right. Hello, Melissa Doppler. Nice to see you here. Okay, wait. Why start with an upstroke? Okay, so I'm going to... Okay, first of all. Yes, there we go. Hang on a second. Eric, I've missed you, my man. Great to see you. Okay, Paul. So the reason being, most of my guitar playing life, I've made a conscious and active decision to just start most of my playing with a downstroke. Now, Paul Gilbert, when he came into this world as a guitar player, started with upstrokes, and it's probably one of the reasons he's such a brilliant technician and a very soulful player, that he's got great alternate picking skills. I mean, just, he's Paul Gilbert, so what more is there to be said? But the thing is that ability to traverse strings in sequences and find yourself a little bit upside down in the way you've practiced it. That is to say, if I take my 3-note string modes and start with a downstroke, when I do the first transition there, sorry, that last note there, it's because it's a third note. If I start with a downstroke, it's an odd note. So it's going to be the same pick stroke as I started. So that's going to be a downstroke and an upstroke. But when I get over to this string, that's going to be an upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. And one of the things that I've discovered as I'm coming down, this is flipping, and I encourage you to notice this about yourself. There are fickle things about my playing that I don't totally understand, but I'm being very conscious of. So that is to say, when you make a mistake as you practice something, make a mental note. I do groups of 3 notes with the minor pentatonic better descending than I do ascending. I do the 3-note per string modes ascending better than I do them descending. There is stuff that happens right around the time that I get to the 3rd and 2nd string with both of those. And as I'm taking the minor pentatonic in groups of 3 notes, a little out of tune, my apologies, but as soon as I get right there, something happens. And so the idea is I'm just going to, the way we fix this, and we're going to get back to this other idea, is you just take... I missed a note here or there, but the point being is that if you can do it on that pair of strings, I'm just kind of backing into the others, and that in turn is giving me the ability to take what's comfortable about that pair of strings and extend it in that range from the 5th through the 1st. And so, the idea is you're just, it's funny how when you practice something in the framework of a larger thing, something you can do as kind of a standalone idea, it all of a sudden becomes harder as it's not. And the point being is that by flipping that alternate picking around, you're going to find that you're going to identify certain string transitions where you're like, oh, I'm terrible at that. So again, part of what I'm working on, Dan, this is for you. That's all right. Come on. Do it. Just do it. Oh, come on. So, all right. So then what you do? I'm all ears and eyes. All right. So now here's the. So, all right. So I wasn't able to do it perfectly twice. So let me be like a real human. Oh, come on. All right, fine. I can't do it today. So then what we do is we flip it around. And then there's the other thing, things you can do much faster. But when you go in the midst of going, and that guy right there has us going down, and then up, down, up. And so we're crossing over the top of the high E string on the way over to this guy. But what's neat about this is that if we thought about going like this, that's the equivalent of going. But if we go, that's. So, as much as I can't flip and play it slowly today, and sort of. Okay, so the deal is that launch metronome app. And that equals 3 months from now, any tempo I want up and down the neck, and I'm going to own that. And what that's going to do is inside the string transition things that most of Paul with great pleasure. No, so here's the thing is there's also a certain amount of stuff we give ourselves hall passes on. We just kind of go, oh, I don't have to touch that. But what's happened is I've kind of gone, have grown allergic to the things that I can't do, and I've grown allergic to the attitude that's behind that, which is a really limiting belief. And so the thing is and actually kind of one of my favorite therapeutic things is to hang out my dirty laundry here and go, this is what I suck at. Because somebody commented in one of the other streams like, hey, I appreciated your kind of being vulnerable. The internet is a place where people only see your flash reels, right? But the thing is that one of my privileges here is I have a community of people that I love, and some of whom love me, that we have this opportunity to kind of let our guard down and kind of go, hey, these are the things that I'm vulnerable about, and these are the things that I'm negotiating around my own inner dialogue as a player. And I will tell you, if you're at all human and you're anything like me, the tendency is to beat yourself up over the things that you can't do. Part of by my playing and flopping around there and failing at some of that is I get a little bit more comfortable with like, well, I can't do that yet. And if I can do it in public and say, I'm working on this, then hopefully that helps you with that same thing. And it also allows me to kind of go, all right, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. It's okay. Tom, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Thank you. So, but the thing about this is we all have some sequence lick that is going to be kind of one of the things we go, oh, if I can only do that, then blah, blah, blah. And so this sort of attitude really helps us kind of get over it. So it's like, look, it's just a physical thing. The slow to fast practicing, if I really want to own something, that's where I sit with the metronome. And literally, for me, the crazy thing is the 3-note per string modes across the neck. When I get it right around here, it's generally, that's going to be a down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So that up, down. Brooks Lundy, hello, my dear friend. Am I going to see you at NAMM? There we go. Oh, yes. Am I going to see you at NAMM, brah? Are you going to be at NAMM? Hey. Mike, what's going on, my man? Very slowly at first. So Michael Angelo Badio. So first of all, Michael, you're absolutely 100% correct. And so the deal is there are certain things that happen in a couple of different ways. Griffin, you don't know to grow if you don't know where you're standing. Absolutely. And that's so true, my friend. Brooks, I'm going to somehow have to whimper through that show without seeing you or having a Brooks hug. At least I'm learning to manage my expectations today. So, okay. So the deal is identifying this little process here. So instead of just kind of going, we're able to go. How am I missing the first one? Okay, well, I can tell you what's happening here, and this is exactly my point. I can do anyone. Scott, what's going on, my man? Awesome, thanks so much. You are awesome, my man. Yeah. That's so funny. Great to see you, my man. So I was talking about you with Maddie yesterday. So the deal is the changing of gears from, I can sit here and go like this, and I can go, and I can go, and I can go. But if I go, it's much harder because we're having to switch. And so that sort of thing where we're targeting and isolating, mimicking all the different things we might be doing is part of why that's there. Now, so again, 3 and upper string speed exercise A, we're doing each one of these sequences 2 times low to high on the way up, 2 times high to low on the way down. And by the way, one of the things I got into a season of 4Zs because they're cute, 2Zs, and I'm going to make sure I point the right finger at you, 1Zs. So that is to say, if I sit here at this guy and go, that's a great way to just get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why that is so important, and I have not heard any other teachers talk about this. I don't, and I'm saying this because it's such a kind of fundamentally stupid idea. I'm kind of surprised other people haven't talked about it. By sitting there and doing it 8 times in a row, we're not looking for the 7 we did great. We look for the one that was kind of like, well, what happened there? Where did I fall apart? Because the deal is when we go really up and down the neck, we don't get a chance to sit there and compare 8 of the instances with one another. And what we're looking for there is consistency. And by the time you're going, right there. So kind of what happened there that fell off a little bit, right? And then there's the consistency and the endurance. So I should be 8 rather. The other thing, practice the dismount. Okay, so the point being is that way you're getting a chance, and they don't have to be fast. If you're not able to play it fast, that's okay. It allows us to really kind of meditate on each one of those spots. When I play this spot here, first of all, harmonically, like we talked about before, we're at a different spot in the scale. So, and the other thing is you play it at different locations up and down the neck, the frets not only get smaller, but the string tension changes. So your right hand, what it has to do is different for this JAB than this JAB. So that's a deal. Then if you're feeling overly adventurous, then you just do it once in each spot. So how do you get better at doing just once at each spot? Great question. Well, what we do so on and so forth. So that, and again, one of the things that I'm actively doing, and I'm inviting you in on the conversation, I'm choosing specific types of things that I'm going to bake into my technique, that certain things when I start playing live again, which is sooner than later, there are going to be things that are part of the repertoire and part of what you do when you play live. It's like it's magic. You want people to kind of go, that was really cool. That thing that he pulled out of nowhere and did it and then kind of put it away in the rabbit. It's like, hey, look, put a rabbit out of my hat. You want people to kind of go, that was really cool what you did. And when I watched Holdsworth do that thing where he went up and down the neck playing just each note one time, I was just like, wow. Because you want to wow people. And it doesn't matter what it is, and that doesn't mean that you can't wow people with... those beautiful long ring notes. And, there are also things... that you'll see that thing and the ideas that are permutating around it. I'm like, okay, I got to reel in, so I'm not just doing that one over and over, but you're going to see permutations of that. If you follow me playing live or watching this stuff, you're going to see that over and over. So there's certain things I'm like, that? Okay. All right, as it relates to you, taking this concept here, is taking the same idea. We're now in the key of D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. Hold on. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And then continuing on G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. So that's going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. And that's going to be E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. And that's going to be F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And that's going to be G, A, B, C sharp, D, E. And that's going to be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. And that's going to be B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. And that's going to be C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. This is going to be the octave of D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. So that, by the way, that dismount was sucky. Sorry. So the idea is that was a slightly different variation. Hey, radar. So hold on. Let's just see if I can prove myself accurate here. So this morning I was up really early. Radar, great to see you. I don't know what time zone you're in. So let's see if it's actually going to load our conversation. No, it's not going to do it in Messenger. So I was starting to message you this morning, but I get up early for Saturday morning. It's like, I don't know what time zone you're in. That it just started to say, hey, thank you for your message. And like, in case most of you haven't figured out, messaging me on Facebook Messenger is pretty much a useless act of kind of like, well, either he's just totally ignoring me or he's really lame on Facebook Messenger. That's me. So in any case, Guitar Gord, hey, bro, am I going to see you at the Petrucci camp? Let me know. Tell me true. Okay. So Radar, great to see you. In any case, I just wanted to check in and let you know, I got your message and I appreciate all of them. I love you and it's so thoughtful and so much appreciated. Warms my heart, so thank you. And I just wanted you to know, like, hey, and it was stupidly early. I'm like, I don't know if he's asleep. So I'm like, as much as he might actually want to get a wake-up text, he might not. So in any case, thank you for popping in. Great to see you, my man. David Gilmour does, and I can assure you, if the goal is, how do I say this? So there's a couple of different types of guitar players. There we go. Thank you for the heads up there. All right. Awesome. Great to see you, my man. Thank you for tuning in. Love the patch there. Right on. That is a soul patch right there. Okay. So the thing about David Gilmour is that if you want, generally speaking, most of the people that are hanging out here are there are a lot of married men here, so I'm just going to say it like that, and hopefully not offending anybody. If you want to bring your wife to the show, you're gonna have much better probability with a David Gilmour thing than maybe, I don't know. I hate to beat up on poor King Crimson because they're awesome, but you can the David Gilmour thing, that slow, beautiful, melodic thing is going to probably your wife, and if you're a woman and your significant other, you're going to probably have a better chance of bringing the significant other to a David Gilmour thing than a King Crimson thing. It's like, honey, that's okay. You go do that. You'll have a much better time without me. So in any case, the idea is that beautiful melodic thing, which is not what we're focusing on today, is really important. No more coffee for me. What's going on, Brett? Great. Hey, you changed your photo. Hey, nice to see you, my man. Okay. Was wondering about that. I messaged you there a couple of weeks back. No, I was ignoring. What's going on? Who is this? What's up, dog? Who is ITBW38? Who is this? All right. Okay, so glad you asked. So the deal is such that I can keep. So in case I haven't mentioned this or you tuned in, this is my $230 Craigslist guitar. So I am no longer in a position with all the album budget stuff and whatnot to buy guitars. And so the expensive guitars. So I'm doing a few more things around the Mesa stuff. So having I didn't ignore you, so my apologies. But the deal is that I'm kind of having a very interesting thing happening. This is a quick left turn. We'll get back to this. This goes up 230. Did I not tell you? What I haven't gotten. Okay, sorry. Let me just riff on this idea before we go back to more shredding. The idea is kind of this guy. Is something that's kind of I know that I'm going to riff on that, and the idea is. I'm afraid if I do that minor third band, I don't know this bridge well enough to know. So on the way down, I went 5, flat 5. And this is where kind of having that relationship of really being aware of the scale numbers. That's one of my 5, flat 5, 4, flat 3, natural 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, 7. Oh. So having things that you do and then kind of going, okay, what can I do with it so I can still have that bass lick, but then kind of find some different things to do with it. Huge help. Okay. So the funny thing is that, part of what some of the stuff I can talk about, some of it I can't. Is that I was like, oh, let me go grab, because there are a bunch of other Epiphones that are here that I love. Bought this guitar, chased it down. That's called Stallion, by the way. And just so this is number 2V, and this is. As I talk about budget guitars and I start pulling them out, this is number 1V back from Gary Brower's with the best fret job of any guitar I've ever had. Just you did a refret, and it just doesn't get any better. Just that guitar has never sounded better. In case this instrument, first of all, I saw it on Craigslist. I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous, and I needed a guitar, kind of a worship Sunday morning guitar. That there's a church that's down the road here that it's a little weird, but they hire me to play from time to time, and so the Flying V at my home church, I play that because nobody has a problem with that. But at this church, they're a little bit more conservative. The Flying V is just the wrong guitar, so I usually bring a Les Paul. I bring an SG or a Les Paul. What are you? Special. It's a special. But this guitar is, nobody's going to have a problem with this. And I saw the finish of this on flipping Craigslist. And I was like, oh my word. And it's probably a veneer. But for the $250, I made him a little offer. Jimmy, you definitely need a V. Come on. Hey, great to see you, my man. So just a little bit of credit where credit is due. 90% of what I learned about playing on stage, I learned because of this guy. So he was the talent buyer at the Omni. Did you work the Stone too, but also One Step Beyond / the Keystone Palo Alto? That was Dean Del Rey. That was San Francisco. So basically, a bunch of shows in the 80s and 90s, and where I learned so much. And so he was so incredibly good to me. In any case, so he was so good to me, and here we are all of these years later. So thank you so much, my friend. And David, this guitar is just gorgeous. So the thing is that it's really and so I've got this pickup right here. If I turn up the volume too much, it starts to vibrate. So Gary will put a piece of foam in the. As I suspected. So you witnessed my first sliding on this guitar, but I was like, oh, you know what? I was like, oh, this is going to be a beautiful slide guitar. So the deal is, if you listen to this particular tone, it's a little dark in this slide, the glass slide. Well, you can hear it's got this little bit of snarl to it. In any case, this guitar is pretty much unplayed. So one of my favorite things, and again, we're going to come back to our shredding in just a moment. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Much appreciated. And yeah, you need a V. You need a couple Vs, honestly. The real question is, if you have two Vs, does it become a W? Sorry. One of the neat things, and I had this conversation with myself earlier because I frequently talk to myself. So many of you will appreciate. Jay Kirkland, am I going to see there? Oh, good. I was already, sorry, I didn't message to ask, but I was looking forward to our get together. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you, my friend. The thing about guitars that are new is that they haven't had a chance to have the frequencies resonated through them. So there's a tightness, and especially at the top of the neck. I can't quite get there. But what will happen is the guitar will open up. Any wine drinkers out there, it's like when you pull the cork, the first little bit, it's got to get played and vibrated in space. So the funny thing is we're thinking the same thing. So I was really thinking, like, well, is there the equivalent of like a Theragun, but like a little bit more gentle, that you could actually put the guitar in? Somebody's going to make some snide comment, but vibrate the guitar such that it basically has a chance to kind of, it has some resonant frequencies, right? And so, but at the same time, one of the best things is to being able to play a guitar and feel it begin to open up. So it's a particular thing. So at some point, I hope to meet some of the guys from the custom shop and be able to go, hey, what do you do? Because there's a guitar here that is an expensive guitar. That's my one custom shop guitar. No, it's not the custom shop guitar. It's not even a Murphy guitar. But it feels like they did something to, maybe it's just the drying process. But also the vibration of the guitar definitely has an effect. No, you're not the first, my friend. And if it said 33 1/3, we'd all get it. Well, there you have it. So the good news is like I'm not completely out of my mind, and so the idea is figuring out how you get the guitar to open up. Now, conversely, I really love the feeling of you can feel it underneath your fingers as the notes begin to open up in their own way. So that's kind of fun. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. There we go. Yeah, the Worship V does not go over big. So the funny thing is this particular nice photo, by the way, very barely. Which, by the way, in the world of Bigsby's is a really good thing because it actually means it does so little, it's probably going to stay mostly in tune. These strings are still stretching a little bit. The other thing that I did with this guitar, and we've talked about this a little bit, and we're going to get back to the shred mode in a second, I keep promising. But I also said earlier, it's like, look, I come in with an objective, but one of my favorite things is that this is an interactive place, and it means that people have something to say, I want to hear it. So the thing about the thing that I started talking about, and then I figured out what I was talking about. Gosh darn it, getting old kind of is El Suckaroo, which I guess means I should shut up and get back to this shredding thing. All right, so the deal is, earlier we worked on the single string. And that's the best place to get the synchronization with the left and right hand because there's no string transitions to work on. Then I embarrass myself doing onesies, twosies, say I still miss one. And you notice on my, there was a, hold on, let me. So that's where on the way from this string to that string. So as we're, and this is one of the other things to be really conscious of when there's a problem, what is really happening? So you go, That is to say, when you're going like this, we're basically doing outside picking. That is to say, we're on the outside of the. We're on the outside of the B string as we're moving to the outside of the high E string versus inside picking. And yet it'd probably be a great idea to toggle back and forth between the two. But so the idea is that when I'm doing single strokes or triplet, you're still going down, up, and you're going down, up, down, up, down, up. That is to say, as I'm going here, I'm going down, up, and here I'm going down, up, down, up. So those transitions are the same. And one of the cool things would be to flip this around and go up, down, up, down, up, down. Oh gosh, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. No, wait, up, down, 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 down, up, 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 down. Yeah, I can't do it as fast as I can play it. So the point being is that flipping that around is actually the next one of these I'm going to do. And the point of this is when we're at that little transition spot, which is where we have a tendency to get messed up, that's where we can do this. So 3-note per string speed exercise A was on the high E string as we were ascending using what I call a waterfall motion, playing each one of those spots 2 times. We just had. All right, now if you had a spot like that, you're like, you also want to watch out that you're kind of coming down the hill. I'm popular. That usually, if you're not careful, you start to run out of gas. The other thing you want to pay attention to is like, hey, if you get to, and no surprise, that 4-3-1 combination. And earlier I talked about hanging out on each one of these like 8 times. But there's also the transition part of this. All right, so the deal is, let me make sure that's not Melissa. No, Jimmy, I will catch up with you in a bit, my friend. Is my fly down? What's the matter? Hold on. I better pay attention to this. Hold on. Let me make sure that there's something. Oh, awesome. I look forward to checking that out. Thank you so much. All right, so the deal. working on just those individual onesies there is a great way. Or, but just targeting, isolating. By the way, there's a bunch of you that you're gonna be like, oh, that's hard. Learning to lead with the pinky was something, because I'd spent so many years going. Leading with the first finger, that when I got to leading with the pinky, I was like, oh my word, yuck. So, but then the best way to get better at it is just kind of go, all right, fine. This, by the way, is called the subdivision method. Eighth note triplets. And that way you're just working on the part that was hard, and eventually the hard stuff's not hard anymore because you've gone. And you kind of go, oh, okay, and develop a language around that. All right, now, this little bit of business. Sorry, I missed my last note. So one of the things that I'm working on is getting much, much more consistent, such that I can go all the way up and down the neck, and every single one of those is as consistent as the others. And a minute ago I was talking about the eights, and that's where this and that's where it's slow. That's going to be 4. Or faster. Sorry. Getting that, your dismount, that's where 1. And that's one of the other interesting things about all this is sometimes doing the cold start, you know. There we go. And also, though, the dismount, such as the last note is clear. All right. So that is, again, it's just low to high. Taking the notes of D major as in D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, and then adding E and F sharp on the top. G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. Oh. So that spot right there. That's one I've got to work on. And the great thing about just am I going like, hey, there's going to be spots. But that little, there I was doing each one of these instead of doing twice. That was once. Now then, oh, I haven't done this yet. That's the equivalent of this guy. Oh, not that. Oh, I'm in D. Okay, hold on. That's basically taking D major starting off G. Ah, you get the idea. So those are things that I'm working on. So the idea of taking that same idea. That will kind of keep you working out. So now, earlier we talked about this idea. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the first 6 notes of the 3-note string modes and playing them at one spot. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And so you can do it with a number of different variations. And this is where the shredder factor really comes in. Okay. Craig, what's going on, my man? My 69 Stratocaster definitely vibrates and sustains more. But who knows what? But that's the great thing is the wood is like, and you'll also, this is what I also heard. And again, this is what happens with the chat. So in case you're new here, interactive. I heard that one of the things Steve would do is he would tap, would tap the body. Na 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 na. Body's D. Next E flat. So Mr. Vine may say that would be non-harmonious because I don't know about you guys, but it's sure pretty. So the thing is, the way the wood resonates and all that stuff, it's part of the voice of the guitar. Absolutely. So the neat thing is the longer you play a guitar, the more resonation that body has been subjected to, and the more it begins to kind of sympathize with your playing harmonically through the vibrations, which is really cool. No way. Legend, what's going on, my man? I hate to say it, I'm embarrassed, but my amps are up on, or my cabs are up on the wheels. Great to see you, my man. Are you going to be at NAMM? Will I see you? Can I like bro hug you and kind of all of that? You know, as awkward as that sounds. Like definitely not going to NAMM now. All right, sorry, just having a guitar morning here. Okay. Didn't he like them to be in unison or an open interval like a perfect fifth or fourth or something? Yes, and the idea is that they should be harmonious either in unison or some sort of perfect interval. So the deal is, before we jump back to our in case anybody here doesn't know why fourths and fifths are perfect, if you look at basically look at the scale chromatically. You know, Rick, if you're still here, the funny thing is my wife and I went to a show at Zellerbach last weekend, and we went by the old bookstore. I was like, oh. All right, so the deal is, if you look at a minor second, the inversion of that is a major seventh. If you look at a major second, the inversion of that is basically, if you look at a major second, let me do it the other way, sorry. If you play a minor second, the inversion of that is a major seventh. If you look at a major second, the inversion of that is a minor seventh. If you look at a minor third, the inversion of that is a, make sure I've got this right, hold on. Minor second, major seventh, there we go. Major second, minor seventh, there we go. Minor third, major sixth, major third, minor sixth, perfect fourth, perfect fifth. So that is to say, as you're ascending, going up a fourth is the same thing as going down a fifth. So those are both kind of natural intervals. Augmented fourth, diminished fifth. Well, the augmented fourth / sharp four isn't as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, a natural interval. No NAMM for me. Too busy. Have a great time though. Great to see you. Look forward to catching up properly. Miss you. Love you. You're the best, man. So when you get to the fifth, up a fifth is the same thing as down a fourth. That is the minor sixth, and that is a major third. That's a major sixth. That's a minor third. Minor seventh. That's a major second. Major seventh. Minor second. So the idea is that the fourths and the fifths are the only ones when you flip them around and go up a fourth, the same thing as down a fifth, and up a fifth is down a fourth. Those are the only ones that they stay as a natural interval. All the others, and this one's kind of a double whammy there. The others flip around. So because of that, fourths and fifths are perfect intervals, and there's a certain amount, about why they work so well. And except there we go. Yes, Tom, how is your dad? Hopefully well, better. Remission. That's the word we're looking for. And yes, they do add up to 9. It's how I keep it straight. the quality version. So this is one of the other things. So I'm going to rabbit trail this. I've been thinking about this kind of is where we basically take these spread triads. So that's basically just taking the G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and G major. Instead of voicing it 1, 3, 5, we're going to move the 1 down an octave. We're going to move the 5 down an octave. So that, by the way, this is one of the other things you'll hear me talking about more is shapeology. So this little, let me not go there right now. That shape and this shape have the same sound, but most guitar players aren't used to playing fifths across strings in that formation. So they, as an end result, they miss some potential voices of things that they can play. Let's say I'm going to play this. Let's see, I'm going to play. Let me. Right. Oh, right. There we. I'm looking for this. Oh, I'm out of tune. My bad. Oh, if I can actually play my fifths properly. All right. Let me just walk through that because that's actually going to be kind of groovy, and somebody's going to go, All right. So the deal is, you can take this triad, and out of this triad, you can lose the 3 there for right now. And play the 5th there, but if we move that 3rd up to there, we end up with this voicing. Boy, that sounds terrible. Basically, that's 5th, 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 5th. I should say perfect. Perfect, 5th, perfect. And then we get to the diminished 5th there. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this 3 and moving up an octave. Oh, come on. Now, what's happening here in the background is being comfortable enough with chord shapes that you can go, all right, we're going major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished major, and in turn, that's 1, 3, 5, 1 flat. That is, say if that's 1, 3, 5, that's 1 flat, 3, 5, and that's 1 flat, 3 flat, 5. As we go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished major, 1, 3, 5, 1 flat, 3, 5, so on and so forth. So if we take this guy, and we're just kind of flipping around that voicing, and when we get right here, remembering that it's going to have this guy right here, that's a major 3rd, or some say it's a 10th. But the reason I think about it as a 3 is, generally speaking, when I think about the major scale, I think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And with the exception of the 2s, the 4s, and the 6s, in the 2nd octave, we have a tendency to call this a 5, which is why I call that a 3 as opposed to a 10th. Not wrong to do it, calling it a 10th, but I prefer to call this a major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd, and then major 3rd. But learning to kind of, I don't think I've ever played these chords like this, and kind of learning to kind of just be able to, on the fly, take what you know and apply it to a voicing is part of the moral of the story. The sad part of the story. Oh, come on. You're at the 4. What's going on here? Holy cow, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4. Holy cow, I've lost the ability to think. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gosh darn it, it's very strange. I'm so used to having the other voicing. So basically, the 5th part is the easy part. So really, I should just be thinking about my... Okay, so, sorry, let me tell you. So the idea is you begin to go, how do we employ a new chord shape strategy around this? Really, the hard part of this, which I just demonstrated, is really just being able to go like this. At the same time, I'm going like this. So ideally, if you can do this bit of just playing these fifths like that, and then at the same time you're doing major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, major 3rd, minor 3rd, minor 3rd. What is wrong with you? Oh, right. Right. Okay, got it. All right, so technically I'm playing sixth here. So this is going to be a major sixth, minor sixth, minor sixth, major sixth, major sixth, minor sixth, major sixth, major sixth. Because even though we're at the seven there, and it's the 1 flat 5 flat 3, which is why instead of being 1 1 5 3, which would be a minor third, or sorry, a major sixth, it's 1 flat 5, 1 flat 5 flat 3. So in any case, the idea being able to track this bit and then kind of go, okay, I'm just playing the 5 down an octave. Holy cow! Right. Well, I did. That's probably not a very good way of explaining that. So that is to say, if you combine this bit of business and I can actually flip and play it, that's just perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, diminished fifth, perfect fifth. You're playing major sixth, minor sixth, minor sixth, major sixth, major sixth, minor sixth, major sixth, major sixth. At the same time, you're doing this. That's kind of a theory light version of that versus going 1 5 3. Arguably, this may be easy. 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 flat 5 flat 3, 1 5 3. I guess you can tell which one I have an easier time with, and that's how I prefer to see things. So instead of kind of playing it by the shapes, but if you wanted to play it by the shapes, that's one of the ways you could do that. 1 5 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 3. In any case, that the idea is instead of doing this, we then kind of took a concept and and after a while you just begin to memorize the feeling of the chords underneath your fingertips. But what I was kind of thinking about was just taking these guys and kind of thinking about, well, the funny thing is you're not playing the root. So that is, say, this is the 5 and the 3 of this 1 5 3, and you're harmonizing the notes of the G major scale, and I'm really hearing that as the 1 chord, but the 1's not in there. So then you're kind of going, what are you tracking that against? That is to say, if this is 1 5 3, and you take the 1 against it, is it still the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7? Sorry, flat 5 7 1 1 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. That is to say, this is 1 5 3. That's just 5 and 3. 1 5 flat 3, 5 and flat 3. 1 5 flat 3, 5 and flat 3. 1 5 3, 5 and 3. 1 5 3, 5 and 3. 1 5 flat 3, 5 and flat 3. 1 flat 5 flat 3, flat 5 flat 3. 1 5 3, 5 and 3. All that to say, there's more than one way of looking at things, and the ability. PSA numbers are lower after 2. Oh wow, okay. That's serious business. Thank you. We're doing really well. No, the good news is getting the tumor out is actually the bad news is that obviously there's a tumor. The good news is 1, catching it, 2, getting it out, and 3, that the PSA numbers are down. Way to go. And for those of you who don't know what PSA numbers just be glad that you don't, because being introduced to the world of PSA numbers is a level of kind of day in, day out, week in, week out, monitoring somebody's health that is going through a battle with cancer. It's a thing. Brad, nice to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. So what you guys don't know, I'm going to call Brad out. Brad gave me, technically he gifted me on Sweetwater what was intended to be a Floyd Rose for V number 2. However, I had a greater need for a Bigsby for Dot. I'm going to call this guitar Dot. It's an Epiphone 335 Dot, and it says Dot there, but it's now Dot. But in any case, I needed a Bigsby for this, so I said, Brad, do you mind if I spend it on it? Thank you. I love this guitar. No, this guitar, and again, I think we spent more on the Bigsby than I paid for the guitar, which is kind of funny. But the thing is that it's just such a lovely instrument. and it's really still pretty much unplayed. And you know, the Bigsby on this is just for that. It's not really until you add kind of copious amounts of vibrato and sorry, delay, that you really kind of get the. Hold on, let's get some soup here, and I'll do that, and then we'll jump back to shredding. Gonna be a really cool guitar as it opens up. All right, there we go. Hang on, there we go. I absolutely know that, but I figured, you know what? It's always nice to give credit where credit is due. You give the best gifts, so thank you for that. All right, hold on. Let me turn the fun stuff back down here. All right, so getting back to this shred thing, this. So that's taking the first 6 notes of each of the 3 note per string modes. Going kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, that was, I should have gone to mixed Lydian, sorry. So that's going to be major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, Locrian, major. And then you flip it around, major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, Locrian, major. And they so that little bit right there, that little transition, that's the hard part right there, which is why it's a good idea to... So what I'm doing is I'm going... That's basically 6, 5, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. That is to say we're playing sixes like, and then we're going, sorry, here we go. And then 6 down and 6 up. And of those, that little bit right there has been the part that has been the hardest for me, and I've just been working away on it for a couple of reasons. One, on the Flying V, the lower bow of the guitar sits a little bit lower. So you might have heard me mention that as I'm going, moving over to the high E string, I'm getting a little bit of string noise on the flying V, which I think I'm mostly past now, because the right hand's angle is a little bit different. So where I'm used to having the ability to have my hand at about there, I'm having to make a gentle adjustment. So it takes a while to get used to it, but it's a good tool to be able to do that. All right, so that is to say, you can very simply just go ups, and that is I basically am trying to plug in as many different types of sequences around these 6-note groupings, and having kind of some homeroom sequences, if you will, that you go through. As a help, I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying ups and downs. And then the inversion of that, downs and ups. All right, so on and so forth. And there are other sequences you can do, but either one of those two would be my suggested starting place. And the challenge you can discover, and I'm going to see a couple more comments in there, is that when you're doing it backwards, with the downs and up, that 3 of, sorry, that's a 6. Oh, I see. There's a pedal exercise. Okay, sorry. Let me explain what I'm doing. Or what I'm playing out of. So normally that first finger comes across there. I'm going to use the second finger there. Oh, that's going to be really groovy. Now, the one that's hard... is this, that little pinky guy going across. I'm at Lydian. But that is to say, that little guy going from, which is why the great transition would be, all right, here's major. Dorian. Sorry, my bad. Major. Dorian. Phrygian. Lydian. Mixed Lydian. Minor. Locrian. Yeah. And then you can do the back pedal. Those are what I'm going from the 4. No, sorry, from the 2 to the 3, and that little bit. So you literally have to go from the 2 to the flat 2 as you're going. But those are typically the sorts of things that I would have not practiced and run at, because they're hard and it takes a minute to kind of get over the curve. But I'm kind of like, well, wait a second. Once I can kind of get over the learning curve of it, what are the ideas that are beyond there that I've never tried to play because I haven't tried to play the thing that was the impediment of me actually getting over that wall? No, it's totally Bach. All right, sorry, I'm getting some boogie conversation here, so I need to jump in here. All right, what is my favorite boogie amp for playing a wide variety, country jam, all the way through the heavier stuff? Lone Star versus Vintage Studio 22 versus Mark 5 versus. Okay, it's a great question. If money is no object, the Mark 7. I've got to actually stick some new tubes in the Mark 7. Nope, we're not going to see it. All right, I changed this camera angle. So over there is the Mark 525, the JP2C, and the Mark 7. And the Mark 7 is what I'm going to take with me down to the NAMM show. But I've got to put new tubes in it. That there are new tubes here to put in it, so I'm going to put new tubes in it. So the great thing about that amp, cab clone IR built into it. Arguably, if one could say, with the JP2C, which is, if Shredder Doug had a favorite in the entire series, it would be the JP2C. The ability of the second and third channel to clone each other with their independent graphic EQ is pretty much boogie heaven. If Mark series is where you love to live, and I've been really, really enjoying playing in in any case, I've been really enjoying the dual rec thing. It's a different feel than the Mark series stuff, and I both love the feel of them. However, the Mark 7 has cab clone IR built into it, which the JP2C doesn't have. There's MIDI controllability, and you can with each of the 3 independent channels, there are channel mode switches that allow you to capture a number of the different boogie voices. So if you can't make it happen with that amp, you can't make it happen with any amp that's in the boogie framework in terms of the breadth and depth. And the great thing about that is the 3 channels really kind of allows you to go into just about any situation. And as you're changing channels, have most everything you need at your fingertips. And if you need to take advantage of using the clean channel and stacking some drive pedals to kind of get that fourth channel that you don't have otherwise, that would be a great way to go there. There's going to be a video coming. It's like stacking up kind of the higher end boogie amps that are currently available and kind of going, here are what the key elements of the feature set are that distinguish these amps from one another. And here's kind of how that plays out. If you're in the studio and you're just hanging out doing stuff, you can flip switches all day long. But when it comes to a live performance setting or a jam setting, if you want to have the ability to have all those tones on tap, having a third channel, and like there's the dual rec issue, then it becomes like, well, you have one less channel to mess with. So that's where your ability to potentially leverage the clean channel with drive pedals is how you get that third channel. Or with the Mark, if you need just some slightly different flavor of drive channels, you take your clean channel and you use your drive pedals on that. So that kind of gives you 4 flavors that you can go with. And because that has MIDI natively, you can control all that with one foot switch, even the drive pedals with something like the PBC6X from RJM over there. So now that said, the Badlander is a 2-channel amp with 3 voices, and it's identical. They have channel cloning like this amp does once you're in drive mode, in gain mode on both the channels. So there's nuanced. So that is to say there are many nuances to all of this. Thank you. Hang on a second. There we go. So, and yes, the Mark 7, the Mark 6, technically it's the Mark 5 was followed by the Mark 7. So yes, Sonny, what's going on? Great to see you, my friend. The Mark 6 is the Mark 7, and the Mark 7 is the Mark 6. So yes. And so the cab clone IR is such an important feature. That's this box that I'm using. Let's see if I can... I don't think I've got an IR in that There you go. So literally, if I go from here's there we go. Basically, at the end there, you heard me going from a 112 Lone Star cabinet open back with a vintage 30, 212 Lone Star, also vintage 30 open back, then a 112 rectifier closed back with vintage 30. They've all got vintage 30. Then the rectifier traditional, which is basically a square in terms of the width and height, more like a British cabinet, and then my favorite, the oversized recto, which they call the rectifier standard. And so all of them have a completely different character, and it does a brilliant job of emulating that. And you can load your own third-party IRs on there. So the ability to have that in the Mark 7, where you've got 8 IR slots. Now, on the Badlander, you have 8 IR slots for each of the independent channels. So you actually have a total of 16. I have forgotten. I think it's just one bank. No. All right. Of course, geniuses. So Cab Clone IR is basically, it's one unit, but it's in triplicate, so that on the Mark 7, for each channel, sorry, somebody's out there going like, really? For each of the channels, you've got and the same thing with Badlander, even though you've got the ability for each of the channels to select its own IR, it's really one instance of Cab Clone IR, but with 2 instances of dials that control that. Don't we all? And so this is the thing, is that I'm sure there are very good reasons why you can't control the mode switches via MIDI, but I really wish that you can control the mode switches via MIDI. So basically, for those of you who don't speak MIDI, boogie modes, basically your average amplifier on a drive channel's got a master volume and gain and tone controls. What the kind of the more recent boogies have is a more often than not a 3-way toggle switch that allows you to kind of load 3 different modes of how that channel can function. So it really means you have a huge amount of versatility. And one of those modes on the high gain thing will always be a Mark II C+. And then there's fat and clean, fat and normal. Hold on. Come here. Say hello to my little friend. So this is the Mark V 25, which as of 2024 was discontinued. But as you look at these channels here, let's see if I can do this without breaking or dropping anything. And will I be able to get this into the C-cam is the real question. Come on, C-cam. There we go. So as you look at these guys right here, these are the mode switches right there. And so I've got to turn it up here, which means you won't be able to see it. Come here. This was a lot better in my mind than how it's working out in reality. But somebody out there is having a good chuckle, so have at it. Right. So you have, for the top channel, you got clean, fat, and crunch. In the lower channel, you've got Mark II C+, Mark V, and extreme. On the Mark 7, you have 2 instances of the of clean and fat, because people like the clean and fat so much they didn't want to have to do one or the other. So that's one of the things that they built into the Mark 7. So it's just, they're just great amps, and for all the crazy extreme overdriven tones, they have great clean sounds, and that's pretty darn cool. All right, gosh darn it, Albert. Yes, 8 per channel on the Badlander, and that's why the Badlander is so awesome. Dan with great present. Yeah, MIDI. No, I knew exactly what you meant. And it's the one. It's the one kind of like, if it could do everything, and it does almost everything, that would be the everything. Brandon, great to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by. And really, really, I'm glad you found it relaxing in the midst of this mayhem here. Thank you for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you at NAMM. Safe travels, my friend. God bless. All right, it is 11 o'clock, and I've got an 11:30 lesson to teach, and I want to have a chance to kind of get situated for that. But let me make sure that I haven't left anything. Thank you. I know what time it is, but appreciate it. I'm going to do a little recap, and generally speaking, if I'm mindful, I'm all thumbs on that thing. I don't know what it is. I will always try and do a little lesson recap at the end of these if I'm on my game. So what we talked about was taking those, in this case, of the G major scale in groups of 3 notes played twice. And basically, those are 8-note triplets. And then the idea is if you want to get fancy, you can do them once. And if you really want to be extra fancy, and that's literally just going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, G, A. And you can also add a different articulation to that, which is up, down, up. Up, down, up. Up, down, up. And down, up, down. Gives you a little bit more space in between the jump. All right, so then we kind of moved on to that. Oh. You know what I'm going to be working on. So that's basically the same idea I was doing my singles, so I'm going to do doubles. And that's basically taking in the key of D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. That's D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, sorry, yeah, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, so on and so forth. So now we're doing ascending, each spot twice and then descending. And this little spot right here, that's a little tricky right there. It just, it's already hard enough kind of leading from the pinky, right? But that spot, particularly for me. So what we do then, I'll be working on all this good stuff, but the idea is just target and isolate. And also what would be good is do double. So it would actually be good here since part of the challenge is the transition, but the other thing is where it is on the neck. I've spent a lot of years practicing this guy. Oh, come on. In the key of G major, as opposed to the key of D. And coming down for the key of G. It's a lot easier then. So this little spot. Oh, come on. I'm going to go 4, 2, and 1. That sort of ability. target and isolate that spot is one of the ways you just kind of rope that puppy down before you take it to the slaughterhouse and eat it. Rawr! All right, and then what we did, we took a similar concept over here. Oh, sorry, we did go. Which is basically taking the first spot, starting at D, then starting at G, starting at C sharp. Oh, come on. It's my C sharp. Now this is where that G string, you want to be listening for that. Now I was moving on the high string. That's it, I'm going. And it would make sense that and target and isolate each one of those. Before you get there. That's hard. I'll work on it too. All right, then the idea that we took this guy. And that's basically taking the first 6 notes of each 3-note string mode, and then but the idea is up and down, and then down and up. And that will stimulate much shredding and will potentially drive your spouse completely out of their minds. In any case, all right, hang on a second. All right, Griffin, great to see you. I was just thinking about you, so telepathically we're connected. Thanks so much. Okay, hey, I didn't get an answer. There was another bag of coffee you sent with this year's installment, right? Thank you again. Much appreciated. Caffeine is a near and dear way to my heart, so thank you for that. MIDI switchable. Wait for Thomas Blug's AmpX real tube circuit digitally controlled. If it is ever brought to market, that is. Got it. Hey, Sonia, great to see you. Trust you're having a great one. Am I going to see you at NAMM? Are you going to be making the pilgrimage? Or am I going to have to come see you at the one thing I haven't had a chance to do? What's the name of the guitar event in Germany there? It's high on my list. I can't wait to get a chance to go there. It's going to be really cool. So, who knows? Okay, they are definitely, and it's the blue one, right? The other one's blue, right? So, as it turns out, because Melissa and I had this conversation in the kitchen, yes, Guitar Summit, the Summit of Guitar, because apparently Melissa has a friend that's also from Louisiana. So there's another Louisiana bag of coffee that's shown up in there. Awesome. Well, then until we see each other again, are you coming to Petrucci in August? I went to reach for the volume control, but I didn't know where it was. Are we going to see you there? Hopefully. All right. Hey, so again, shredders. And the last thing we started to talk about this. All right, great, thank you. What we didn't really completely come back to the, which is, and the idea of being able. Sorry. I guess I hit it. Just the idea is you're just taking any one of these 3 note string spots. In this case, we're starting off, basically, we're targeting the G as our resolution point. So we're coming out of the D mixolydian in. The idea is how do we use these such that we can actually get some sort of resolution point so it doesn't sound like wheelie, wheelie, you know, like. So that's basically what we're doing is we're going, thinking about these guys. In pairs of strings, D mixolydian. So we're basically going the second and first and second, second and third, and backtracking 1 note. So you can elongate that first bit. But that's the short version. Up, down, double, that pair of strings. I should say, sorry, let me rephrase. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, backtrack a note. All right. So, excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you, one. Thank you all. Next Saturday, I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be at NAMM, so it's going to be really cool, but you will be missed. I am sure more than 1 times, 100 times, I'll think of you guys go like, wait, it's Saturday. I'm supposed to be home. In any case, I'm really looking forward to this NAMM show. It's going to be a pretty special time because they all are. But at the same time, being here with you on Saturday morning, it's very special to me. So in case I haven't said it before, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,001 could never hurt. Thank you. This is you know the actually what my favorite part about kind of what's happening is I'm getting a chance to kind of get to a certain level with my playing where I'm trying to fix a bunch of the things that are broken. And in so doing, one of the best things that I can do therapeutically for myself and other players and kind of go, these are the problems that I've got. These are the types of things that I do as a solution to fix them. If these are problems or things that you're wanting to make better in your playing, and or you're looking for some food for thought about how you can kind of break out little pieces and transitions and kind of fine-tune, cobble pieces together as opposed to just running up and down the whole thing, and every time we get to a certain location, like as I'm coming down this little spot there, how we, instead of doing the whole thing, just kind of go, hey, let's just fix this little bit. And so doing, and by the way, it is, even once you've kind of targeted and isolated that, it's a different thing to put it into the framework of the larger sequence of notes, but that's okay. They're different dealios, and it's fine. And it's okay that when that happens. I guess what I'm trying to say is this. Mistakes happen. How you feel about yourself and define yourself as a guitar player by the things you can do and the things that you can't do can be really dangerous and not good. And sometimes we're not totally conscious of how much we are potentially beating up on ourselves. And one of the best things about having a cognitive approach to how we approach the things that we can't do well, and just going, hey, you know what? I'm actually out there with my little hammer and the little chisel. I'm chiseling away. And if you're just kind of like, hey, even if I can't chisel away that much, if you're just like, I'm actively just getting rid of that stuff and I'm actively improving it, having a strategy for doing like, oh, let's target and isolate that. All right, let's slow it down. Let's do it 8 times so we can really just get the sense of each one of these spots 8 times. All right, each one 4 times as we're kind of toggling back and forth. So you're just developing that muscle memory and that confidence, that confidence propels you in the areas that you're already doing well. And in turn, in the areas that you're doing well, you're not kind of going, oh, I hope I don't have to do that thing I don't well, where you kind of get into this zone of self-doubt as a player, which is very unhealthy. And we all have it. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. I think just about every player I know has some form of like, you know, I suck-itis. And so, you know, it's just not healthy. So, all right, shred practice time coming up. All right, I love all of you dearly. Thank you for sharing your Saturday with me. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Make it a great one.